Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is Wednesday, July 21st, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. I am Todd Rich with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Brian and I are going to go through some hot spots in the markets, or some potential hot spots in the markets today. Before we get started, I do need to quickly share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your educational purposes. So with that, what are we going to be talking about today? A couple of hot spots. We're already seeing one is oil. We're going to talk about oil today. As you can see yesterday, right at the close, oil did get clipped in the last 30 minutes. But then in the European session last night, it did take all of those. It climbed all the way out of that hole and then up another 80-ish, 90-ish cents, somewhere in there. So oil is definitely in play today. We're seeing oil catch a bounce. And the interesting thing there is today at 10:30 this morning Eastern. So in a little over 2 hours, about 2 hours from now, a little less than 2 hours from now, the U.S. oil inventory reports are going to come out. We're going to see where the oil, what the situation in the U.S. looks like in terms of our stocks. Now, oil is definitely a supply-demand driven product. We know demand has been creeping up. We know OPEC, to meet that demand, has vowed to up some of their production to kick in some supply. U.S. actually is a huge producer of oil. We produce most of our own oil. It's good to see, interesting to see where our oil inventory levels are for the U.S. to be able to meet its own demand. We also export oil. So we're going to go through oil today. And there could be some action there when that oil inventory report comes out. The other thing we're going to be talking about is some FX, some currencies, particularly around the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar has been inching toward recent month highs. In fact, at the open of the European session, I think it actually might have hit a high. It's the dollar is becoming a little bit of a safe haven as people are concerned about the impact of the Delta variant on the global economic recovery, on global growth. So people are coming into the dollar a bit. But then if you actually compound that and look at the euro, where there's some concerns about the eurozone, they've got the ECB meeting tomorrow. Are they going to remain ultra dovish? And is that going to impact the euro? So when you've got the ECB making the decisions, the COVID, the inflation, you're seeing some action in things like the euro, U.S. dollar, and the pound dollar. I mean, we'll flip it around and take a look at a couple of those currencies. So there's a lot to cover today. So Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you. Let's start with oil, and then we'll get into the FX.
Yep, sure. So oil, very interesting chart, the way that it kind of worked out yesterday. You had a dollar drop basically at the very, very close. And then it was more or less a parabolic retracement move where it very, very fast, and we retraced it back again. So the start of the European session actually really wasn't much farther than where it closed yesterday. The market, that market closes a little bit earlier, and it was only about 30 cents off from where the actual close was, if you take out all the craziness after the oil market was there. In the overnight session, you can see the blue is the European session. It's been literally pushing it straight up in the air. What's interesting about this is it is driving towards that 69.14 level that we talked about as being a profit target after the reversal. Here's the API number for yesterday. You can see that this is the first time in 6 weeks it actually came in at a surplus. So, OPEC makes some comments. Next thing you know, we have a surplus in Texas. So, again, this is the industry reporting. So there's no, if this is inaccurate, there's no repercussions later on down the road. But it is interesting because this one has been really pegged at basically minus 4 million, minus 7 million for the last, 6 readings or so. And now all of a sudden we have a surplus sitting there of 0.8 million, almost 1 million barrels extra surplus that we didn't have before. So, it'll be interesting to see how that one kind of favors out. Right now, they're still holding the forecast at minus 6.5 4.6, and again API had that one at minus 4.1. So there is slightly a bit different reading in there. And again, they have been off. Last week the API number came in at -4, and the actual EPA number came in at -7.9. So, it's kind of set up. It's interesting watching it raise higher than that. If we can get up, and again, remember, I don't really set up any trades for oil until that 10 to 10:15 ish window, waiting for kind of a stabilization in price. We wanted to get up into that 69, 14 range. But again, a lot of this is maybe pre-positioning. A lot of it may be the API number kind of tricking the EIA number. So we'll see how it goes. But I think 69.14 is the level to watch out for. Last time we got there was right at the open of yesterday's session, or 2 days ago session on Monday. And again, huge push to the downside. That kind of starting area led to about a $2.44 push, which is more than what a daily ATR is. So we know there's definitely some selling pressure coming into that range. But again, the way that you would look at this one for news is between that 10 and 10:30 window. You need to make sure you jump over and look at your shorter duration binary contracts, look at your call spreads to see if there's any ceilings there. Knockouts, I don't have it up. Let me see my knockouts real quick for oil.
Oh, here, hold on. I'll tell you what. I can bring them up right now.
Yeah, they're not even close, unfortunately. There's a 75 sitting right in here, 68.75, which won't work, and the next one is until 69.75 all the way up here. So it's a bit too far for that. So it'll be shorter duration binaries and call spread contracts today for these two. But what you're looking for, pretend that this is a 1 minute chart, just so I can explain it real quick. See how the price basically stopped and it got, it held here. Again, this is over a couple of hours. But if this was a 1 minute or 5 minute chart and you had this, that's the type of stabilization that you're looking for. Look for areas of big pushing to the downside or upside, depending on what it does. Again, you're looking for kind of a last-minute positioning before the release. I would love to say that nobody knows what the number is until the number is released, but unfortunately, that's not the truth.
That's very cynical.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. It's illegal for regular people to have it, but not illegal for everybody to have it. So that's the best way to say it. But yeah, so if it pushes up again, like I said, I think that's a decent level to start looking for if you want to, pre-position yourself. But with this API number being a positive number, it's the first time we've seen a positive reading in like 6-7 weeks. So that could absolutely, without a doubt, lead to again, a surprise to the upside here. In which case, the initial reaction is going to be to sell from the retail traders. You got to see if we can kind of trap them in a level.
Right. All right. So oil definitely in play this morning. They've got some technical levels in there. And remember, that's at 10. You probably want to be looking over there around 10:15 Eastern. See where we are. And then see what opportunity there is. I did put in the chat a link to the daily FX economic calendar where you will be able to follow the release of those numbers if to make it easy for you. There are multiple places, but I happen to like that daily FX one where it makes it nice and easy for you to be able to see what expectations were and where they are when they come into line. All right, let's jump over and talk a little bit about then some FX. I don't know if you want to start with the dollar index, just kind of show it, and then we can look at
the
dollar, euro, and the pound.
Yeah, I want to follow up with the Aussie as well. As you can see, we've been going higher. Pretty easy. I can just draw some trend lines out here. You guys can see what direction this is going in. You're doing your 3 touches top, 3 touches on bottom. So, it's definitely in a channel going higher. As I mentioned the other day, again, a lot of this goes back to inflation. We're seeing it everywhere. New Zealand kind of set us on a trend at this point that they said that they're raising in August. If you look at some of the different articles, you're talking about how, inflation's here. The Delta variant could only make it worse. Powell is getting now questioned, and Biden has to figure out if he's going to keep Powell over there or not, if he's going to reappoint him. You're basically seeing it everywhere. I love this. One EU source says it has 0 chance of renegotiating. Okay. I love when people say, when politicians like it's 0 chance. Yeah, right. That's what you said with Brexit like 12 times. But again, also Yellen is confronting, clashing deadlines for the clinch for the global tax accord and things. Again, tax everybody, but everybody's not going to want to be taxed. So, it's a lot of this is driven by inflation. It's here. Everybody knows it's here. The only people that don't is the Fed. They're saying it's all going to be transitory, and like I said, um, it's one of those things. As things are opening back up, they're like, oh, this should ease pressure, but it is. But when there's more demand on products and we can't get them, if there's any type of shutdown whatsoever, it's going to get worse. The same thing. A lot of it right now is in food and energy costs. Gas prices are going crazy right now, but all energy across the board is high. So, with recovery, seeing where the economy is right now, I mean, a couple of Fed presidents have actually said, we're recovered, we're here. I don't know what we're talking about. What's the debate anymore? And it's hard to say, anything's going to happen because with the overall indices at all-time highs, if we're recovered and they're going to continue to keep this, they're only going to go higher as people spend more money because remember, there'll be more supply now so people can buy more stuff. That just means companies are going to make more money if people are buying more things. Companies don't make less money when people buy more things. So it's one of those. There's a lot of conflicting things here with the economy and everything else. So until they actually raise interest rates, the stock market should continue to move. But remember, as they raise interest rates, typically the stock market will go down, but also we'll be seeing a lot more profits because people are buying a lot more things. So it's not going to be as deep of a crash as it would be. And we actually had data, I guess, yesterday that they said that the recession officially ended in April of last year.
April.
So
yeah,
it's not like it's not like we're hurting right now. So that's kind of where we are on the dollar spectrum. That again, anytime that we can see any other country with weakness is probably a great thing to use the dollar for. I wanted to highlight the Aussie yen, and again, Aussie I could use Aussie yen or Aussie dollar, but the Aussie yen was a little bit better of a setup that we talked about yesterday. I want to drop this down because whenever we can teach you guys here in the morning, and again, I bring this up all the time, but I always get questions about it, and people are like, well, how do I, what do I do this? It's like just listen to the presentations. Here's where the Australian news was last night. I mentioned it Monday, mentioned it yesterday afternoon. We knew there was going to be an FX a news result. Aussie is a big one. Now, was I surprised that it came in at minus 1.8? Yeah, I didn't think it would come in. I actually thought it would be positive, but I was expecting a surprise. I don't care which direction it is. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for technical analysis that's telling me where it's going to go. I'm looking at price action. Well, I was able to see that this one was really kind of up. It was pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. Ideally, I wanted it higher at the 80.92. That would have been ideal, but we were looking for a push. See how it kind of stabilized up here? And if you look to the left, you'll see it. But this is a 5-minute chart right now, and this yellow box is a 2-hour window from 9 to 11. You may ask why I use 9 to 11. Well, because there are 2-hour binary contracts in that range. Now, you can see the amount of movement in here. If I go down, I don't know if you guys can see it in that box. That's 40 pips. I challenge you guys tonight to go and look to see what the spread differential is, what the strike differential is with the 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. binary. Okay? I can tell you right now, it's very small, and there's over 10 binaries that got busted out within this 2-hour window. So people are always asking, how do I find great opportunities? How do I do this? How do I do this? Guys, just follow what we're listening to.
Yep.
I didn't give you a trade recommendation, but I told you there was going to be an event. Retail sales is always one of those ones that is good. And at the end of the day, what happened from then till now? Nothing. We're in the exact same spot. But as a trader, you have to grab opportunity when it pops up. And here it is. I can't.
It's that combination of when is the opportunity and then the duration that you choose, because that'll give you those opportunities where you'll see some of that volatility, particularly in the price of the binaries.
Yep. Yeah. So and did you need to hold it till expiration? No, you didn't have to. You could have taken it out early. And I'll tell you right now, it went far enough down where you were probably safe. It wasn't going to retrace that far back up again that quickly. But you can see, had you traded that last night and you were just using standard daily contracts, where are you at right now? Price is at the exact same level.
Yep.
So, that's you got to strike when the iron's hot. That's what real traders do. Set and forget is a thing, but set and forget is a thing when you have your profit targets there as well. So that's where we are. You wanted to look at one of the other dollar-based pairs.
Oh, yeah, I thought there's two other things that we could just quickly look at. One, the euro US dollar. I've got it up there, and because this is a combination, I'm just going to show you. I'll have it on mine. The dollar strengthening as a safe haven as people are concerned about COVID, but then we've got the ECB, and I want everyone to remember this because we're going to be talking about it tomorrow because it's going to happen before we're able to get on tomorrow morning. But at 7:45 a.m. Eastern, early, the ECB is going to make their interest rate decision. Now, I don't think they're going to be doing anything. More important, they're saying zero chance. But at 8:30 Eastern at 8:30 Eastern, they have the press conference, and it's going to be, what are they saying? Are they going to remain ultra dovish, or are they going to be positioning a little differently? So you've got a combo of what is the Eurozone going to be doing? What is going on with COVID globally? How are people perceiving the strength of the US dollar? There is going to be some volatility, and I'm sure tomorrow morning Brian and I are going to be talking about the Euro USD because something will probably have happened right before we go on. So be looking at this tomorrow morning. That is also, you can see that in the economic calendar that I dropped out there for Daily FX. But Brian, and then I thought if you want to talk a little bit about some levels in the Euro USD, and then I know that you put up the pound yesterday and it actually hit your levels. So I don't know if you wanted to go through those two.
And let's talk about how you play that one tomorrow morning. So obviously, when you're playing a European release, you have two options. You have the Euro Yen, okay, or you have the Euro Dollar. And again, it really depends on which direction you're thinking. This is kind of like a little inside point here, and I use this with the Euro Pound all the time when I'm going to trade the dollar versus one of those two. But if you're trading the Euro with those two options, easiest thing to do is go over to the Euro Yen. The dollar. Excuse me, the dollar yen. Figure out what's happening. So right now, in the side of the dollar yen, we can see that the dollar is getting stronger. The yen being in the secondary position is getting weaker. There's actually just a trade setup to go long off of this one. Tomorrow morning, do the same thing. Kind of figure out, are we near levels? Are we looking for reversals inside of this position? Then you can figure out which one is strong, which one is weak. Based off of where you see the euro at, if you're seeing that we are continuing with this strong dollar movement, if you are looking to get short the euro, you're going to want to trade the euro dollar. If you're looking to go long and if you're looking to go long the euro, thinking that, hey, listen, everybody's saying that this is going to be absolutely horrible, but where I see on the charts, it looks like it's going to be good. And you come across and the euro dollar is, again, say it's coming back down again, or just to say it continues, right? You're seeing yen weakness. Make sure you're matching the correct strong or weak pair versus the euro based on. That way it gives you kind of a leg up. And the same strategy can be used if you want to trade versus the dollar. You can use the euro dollar or the pound dollar, figure out which one is stronger or weaker, and then trade that accordingly as well. So it's just an extra little hint tomorrow. Of the two for euro, you can see that the euro is in a position right now, but again, we're seeing a lot of yen weakness. It's retracing all of its previous kind of 2 days worth of strength. But two levels that I'm looking for, particularly in the euro dollar. There's the one right now at 29.73.
This is euro yen.
Yeah, it's euro yen. This one will not be around tomorrow. It's testing it right now, and it's already kind of hit it once. With it being a session open, it may be decent long, but again, we're going to need some yen pressure coming in. But that 130.19, I think, is still good. Yep. On the other side, I'd be watching this 128.73. And again, there's a lot of room, but it's 24-hour. It's 23 hours from right now, 22 hours. So we got a lot of time to, from now till then before we look at that one. But I think either of those two would be decent. We can change this one to a green, just so not everybody's confused there. And then same thing. Whoops. Euro dollar. Euro dollar, I don't like as much right now. It's more going sideways because when we did get some strong euro presence in there, we also had strong dollars, so they're kind of battling back and forth. And really, since yesterday's open, we're in the exact same spot. One quick spike up, one spike down, and we're kind of stabilizing. We were looking to go long this morning. Unfortunately, it didn't get down here, but we were looking to go long at the open, the pop from that 117. It popped. It just wasn't down at that level. So I would look at that again. Whoops, not that one. There. I'd say 117 over here and here. And then as far as the pound goes, here's the hit from yesterday. We talked about 148.75. The level we just went through, you can see it was hit 1, 2, 3, and actually hit a fourth time and held, and then came up and kind of based and came through. And we could actually adjust this. Whoops, not that one. We could adjust this down a bit, and you can see that we kind of pulled up and it's going long. I would say this one is probably good for a long up until 151.06. There's not a whole lot in here stopping that one right now. So we got a decent room to run. And then pound dollar, you can see pound dollar is basically just stabilized sideways. And that same level of basing, we hit our 3 times and it's still in that same level. Again, we were looking to get short if we came up to 136 at the open. That's what the black line is. It dropped. It just wasn't up to the level. So that's kind of, it's kind of where we are. And I would say CAD is pushed through. Dollar Swiss is kind of, besides that, there's really not much else out there going on right now. Euro Pound actually has an entry if you guys are looking for something later on today. It looks like an 86.16 break. There's a racetrack opportunity here for you. But besides that, I'd say everything else is pretty much set, ready to go for later. Oil would be the number one thing that you're looking for, and then yeah, the indices are kind of mixed right now as well. 2 up,
Yeah.
1 down.
So perfect. All right, let's listen. This is a lot that we threw at you today. So before I recap it, if you got any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Brian, also very accessible. You can email him, support@keeptradingsimple.com. What did we talk about today? What just because I do like to review it quickly. One, we've got U.S. oil inventory reports 10:30 a.m. Eastern today. So keep an eye on oil. Again, supply demand driven product. And then two, we've got some FX pairs in play. You got the euro for tomorrow morning. Before we do this, less important than the actual interest rate decision, which is at 7:45 a.m. Eastern. That's the European Central Bank will come out with their decision. But that press conference at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, when they start talking about it, to hear how they're positioning themselves, you might see some action in the euro. Places to look: euro yen or the euro US dollar, and there the dollar also just generically has been seeing some strength. Again, as a flight to safety, it's more of a risk off situation as people still digest what's going on with the Delta variant of COVID as that continues to spread globally. That's a lot to look at. We will be back tomorrow morning. With that, we want to wish everyone good luck in the markets. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.